What's up, everybody? Welcome to Political Fight Club. I'm Robert Durden. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the really abhorrent working conditions in the Frito Lay factories. So you guys may know the chip maker that's owned by Pepsi, Frito Lay. They make Fritos, Cheetos, Doritos, Lays, Ruffles, Funyuns, and Tostitos. As it turns out, no surprises here, the working conditions are beyond inhumane. And I'm going to read you here an article that I just saw. They're making these people that have worked there for sometimes even decades do what are called suicide shifts, which is like you only get 8 hours off in between a shift just to go home and sleep. So you spend 16 hours working, and then you get 8 hours of sleep, and you got to be back in. So, I mean, you leave something like, you get home and you go to bed around 9, 10, and then they get you back in at like 3 or 4 in the morning. It's unbelievable, some of the stuff that they put their workers through. There's like, no air conditioning, and I'm going to read to you exactly what there is, but it's like sweatshops. That's what we have right now. We have Americans working in sweatshops for corporations here, and like Amazon and numerous other companies do this. I mean, Walmart workers aren't treated well either. It could be factory workers or retail workers or what have you. This is running rampant in our country right now. So I'm going to read to you here real quickly, but what I would recommend, guys, is just boycott these. I know it sucks. I love Doritos. I love Tostitos, but I'm going to be switching. Mission makes a good, normal salsa chip that I'm just going to start buying those instead. They're priced about the same. As far as my Doritos fix, I might just be sending that the way of Chick-fil-A, among other things that I've now boycotted because of the way that they run things. Of course, Chick-fil-A is super homophobic. So, but let's read you here from The Guardian about these workers. They have been on strike at the Tostito or at the Frito Lay plant for like 2.5 weeks now, 3 weeks. So let's talk about them. Since July 5th, there we go, hundreds of striking workers at a Frito Lay plant in Topeka, Kansas have drawn attention to the Dickensian conditions workers have been subjected to in order to produce some of the world's biggest brand name chips in the United States as well, including Fritos, Cheetos, Doritos, Lays, Ruffles, Funyuns, and Tostitos. Workers have publicly aired a list of grievances ranging from stagnant wages, high turnover rates, and a lack of hazard pay during the pandemic to 84-hour work weeks, warehouses in triple-digit heat with no air conditioning, months on end without days off, and so-called suicide shifts where workers are only off the clock for 8 hours before having to clock back in. As one Frito Lay worker wrote in an op-ed for the Topeka Capital Journal, quote, "This storm has been brewing for years." The worker describes iron-fisted management that has forced employees to continue working through the smoke and fumes of a fire, the loss of a father, a deep freeze cold front, years of inflation with cost of living increases as low as 20 cents, and the on-the-job death of a coworker. And this is where it gets really crazy, guys. Listen to this. In an interview with Vice, Mike McCarter, a 59-year-old palletizer and a union steward who has been working at the facility since he was 19, described one instance a few years ago where a coworker died on the line and the company had his body moved to the side without stopping production. Quote, "It seems like I go to one funeral a year for someone who's had a heart attack at work or someone who went home to their barn and shot themselves in the head or hung themselves," said McCarter. Workers are now entering their third week on strike without pay as a last resort and have asked consumers to stop buying Frito Lay products until an agreement with the company is reached. Quote, "We would rather nobody buy any Frito Lay products," McCarter told Vice. "We make all of those in Topeka, Kansas." So I'm asking you guys to do the same thing. Let's boycott them. Let's get on the side of these striking workers, because that's nightmarish. They said it's like Dickens. It absolutely is. It's like some fucking Bleak House or Oliver Twist shit. And the thing is, we hear about stuff like this. We read it in our books. We see it on TV all the time. We see it on the news in third world countries. And then we never have like the introspection to look around and see that we're doing sweatshops right here to Americans. The corporations are doing it, and we don't seem to care. We don't seem to wake up to this somehow. We're the greatest country in the world, didn't you hear? But no, we're not. This stuff is happening all over the place. Workers are treated horribly. So, I mean, you guys know me. I'm kind of an eco-Marxist, so I'm for unionizing basically everything. And I'm for worker co-ops. that would be a great solution to stuff like this. No more, millionaires and billionaires making all the decisions and doing none of the work as the CEOs and the people in the board of trustees and the chairs and the stockholders. Fuck them. Let's have the workers own everything, and then we own the means of production, and then we split it equally between all of us. And of course, not entirely equally, but you get the idea. Marxism allows for a little bit of wiggle room depending on where you are in the union. And then everybody would get paid what they're worth. Nobody has to be treated like this because unions would never allow 84-hour work weeks. I mean, the only reason we have like a 40-hour work week is because of unions pushing for it back in the back during the FDR days, during the New Deal. And it actually was going to be lower than that. I think it was going to be a 30 or a 35-hour work week, and then the compromise was the 40-hour work week. So the reason we have, like, no more child labor in this country, the reason that we have, a 5-day work week instead of a 6-day or a 7-day work week, like obviously these corporations want us to have, is because of unions. And I would say go further than that. Worker-owned co-ops would solve all of this shit. So this is unbelievable. The best that I can do and the best you can do individually is just boycott these companies. And I would say let's go a little bit further, guys. If you work for one of these companies that's doing this to you, and this shouldn't be a hard decision, just fucking quit. 2, we should all not buy from them. But also, beyond that, guys, I've recommended this on my show multiple times before. Don't ever go work for these companies. Just on principle, say, no, I'm not going to go work for that company. If we could do those 3 things, don't buy from them, don't work for them, and if you work for them already, quit, we'd have all these companies by the balls. So I'd recommend do those 3 things. I'm going to do my best. I'm never going to go work for one of these companies. But if you do, and you listen to my show, just fucking quit. As the great Doug Stanhope says, do it the old-fashioned way. No call, no show. And then what you would have is that you have effectively like a strike if all of you guys did it, and then they would have to pay you a ton of money to get you back. So, and that's the only way you're ever going to get them to stop treating you like this, is the workers have to stand up for themselves, they have to unionize, they have to strike, and then it forces the companies to have to pay them well and give them time off and not give them suicide shifts and putting them in positions where they go home and fucking blow their brains out. This is beyond inhumane. And yet nobody in America seems to care. They'll look at other countries or look at something in a book written by Charles Dickens and they'll go, wow, that sounds really like a lot of poverty and a lot of like emotional and physical strife that those people had to go through for no reason at all. Yeah, that's America nowadays. And yet we still haven't woken up to that fact. So keep fighting the good fight out there, guys. Remember, no more eating. And I know this sucks. I'm going to do it too. My wife is going to hate me. Fritos, Cheetos, Doritos, Lays, Ruffles, Funyuns, and Tostitos. Just find other substitutes, guys. Let's get these guys by the balls. And if you work for this company, fucking leave. Just walk out today or just don't come in tomorrow and don't call them. Fuck them. I'll talk to you guys later.